Government Labour Union agreed on 70,000 minimum wage for Nigerian workers. Federal government sets 18 as minimum age for tertiary admission. JAMB announces 140 cut-off mark. House of Representatives slashes members' salary by 50%. And on the international scene, Rwanda's Kagame wins re-election by a landslide. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour. I am Sumaya Abubakar. And now the details. The federal government and organized labor have agreed to a new minimum wage of 70,000 naira after a meeting with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the State House in Abuja on Thursday. Minister of Information Mohammed Idris and Minister of State Labor Nkiruka Onyechioja relayed the development to newsmen. The new minimum wage structure was accepted by Labour because of the provision that salary structure will now be reviewed every 3 years. Kende Amodu reports.
On June 25, the Federal Executive Council stepped down deliberations on the new minimum wage memo to allow President Bola Tinubu to engage with stakeholders ahead of a planned executive bill. Recommendations were based on the submissions by federal, state governments and the organized private sector. What was left was to get organized labor on board, and the meeting between the union leaders and the president last Thursday ended without an agreement. The reconvened meeting this Thursday has, however, achieved the desired result.
We're happy to announce today that both the federal government and the organized labor have agreed on an increase on the 62,000 naira minimum wage. The new national minimum wage that we expect Mr. President to submit to the National Assembly for legislation is 70,000 naira.
The review of this minimum wage policy has to be reduced to 3 years. That is, 5 years is too long a time to get any minimum wage review that is not very wealthy. And of course that Labour should look at the indices of the economy and accept 70,000 naira minimum wage.
The Labour leaders agreed that the proviso that minimum wage would now be reviewed every 3 years was the swaying factor.
What they have announced in terms of the amount of 70,000 happen to be where we are now. So now. But the good thing about it is that we will not wait for another 5 years to come and review. Rather than accepting on a figure that you wait for 5 years, it's like you have to now negotiate even 2 times within 5 years.
In an era where things are moving very fast in terms of both macro and microeconomic policies, but with also the caveat that this is going to be done every 3 years. 3 years. The next review will be 3 years, and after that pronouncement, we from Labour, just has been said that we have received what the president has promised from both ends.
Meanwhile, also thrown into the deal by the president was that the relevant ministers would work out modalities to pay salaries to members of SANU and NASU to prevent industrial action on tertiary institutions.
We made a case for them that the president should, as a father of the nation, should look at it compassionately and do and so that we'll not have a case where universities will be closed again.
Magnanimously, he asked the agencies concerned to work out the modalities for the payment.
The Labour leaders say they have listened to the president's pronouncement on the new minimum wage with mixed feelings and will now take the president's proposal back to their constituents to get their buy-in. However, it is safe to conclude they have accepted the new wage, and all that is left is for the president to send an executive bill to the National Assembly for it to be passed into law. From State House Abuja, Kende Amodu, Trust TV News.
The Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, BON, has called on the federal government to indefinitely suspend the demand of 2.5% of gross earning by the NBC. Rising from its 79th General Assembly held in Benin, the Edo State capital, BON also called the federal government to support the industry through the provision of CNG permanent generators to all BON member stations and also subsidized by electricity tariff by 50% for members on a monthly basis. In a communique issued at the end of the assembly, BON said the request followed the existential faced by members of the group as a result of the removal of the oil subsidy and the deregulation of the foreign exchange market, which have brought about unimaginable rise in the operation cost of broadcast media in Nigeria. BON also called for further amendment to Schedule 4 of the 1999 Constitution that empowers local government council to collect radio and television rates and vest such power on the National Broadcasting Commission, which shall be further mandated to distribute such revenue accrued from the rates among licensed broadcast stations. The broadcasters urged the federal government to adequately and effectively fund the National Broadcasting Commission as a regulatory agency and remove it from the list of revenue-generating agencies of government. The demands, according to BON, are to prevent the unprecedented shutdown of many broadcast media houses due to the astronomical rise in operational costs. The Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, has waived the 18-year benchmark for admission into tertiary institutions. At an ongoing policy meeting organized by the Joint Admission Matriculation Board, the JAMB, in Abuja, Mamman had announced that only applicants who were 18 years and above were eligible for admission. This had sparked a controversy as stakeholders across tertiary institutions in the country kicked against what the minister said. The minister later accepted the suggestions of the stakeholders that admission seekers from 16 years and above should be eligible for this year's admission, while the law will apply from next year. Mamman also said a new curriculum would be introduced for secondary schools nationwide by September 2024. The minister noted that the exercise has been on for the past year, adding that a stakeholder meeting will be held on August 6, 2024 to that effect. Recently, the National Senior Secondary School Education Commission decried the deplorable state of senior secondary schools in the country and called for collaboration to overcome some of the challenges bedeviling the secondary level of education in the country. The Commission listed some of the challenges confronting the sector to include infrastructural deficits, unqualified teachers, obsolete curriculum, and deplorable libraries and laboratories. Meanwhile, the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, the JAMB, has pegged 140 as the cut-off mark for admission into universities. The board also fixed 100 as the minimum cut-off point mark for admission into polytechnics and colleges of education. JAMB Registrar Isaac Oloyede announced this on Thursday in Abuja at the 2024 policy meeting of the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board. The meeting had in attendance the Minister of Education, Tahir Mamman, Vice Chancellors, Rectors and Registrars of higher institutions and other stakeholders. The Kaduna State government has denied any involvement in the dehumanization of a popular political commentator and all-progressive Congress chieftain, Abdul Majid Dambilki Kwamanda, who was seen being whipped by unidentified persons in a viral video for allegedly criticizing Governor Obasani. In this video, those who assaulted him were heard asking him if it was from Kaduna and why he was criticizing the governor. He was heard in the video explaining that he is a Nigerian and a northerner. However, in the statement issued on Thursday by Governor Obasani's Chief Press Secretary, Muhammad Lawal Shehu, the administration distanced itself from the action. According to the statement, the governor is a long-standing fighter for fundamental rights and freedoms, adding that he has never wavered in his commitment to the promotion and protection of civil rights, the rule of law, and due process. It noted that the governor will not, under any circumstances, detail anyone to brutalize a person for holding a contrary opinion. Still in Kaduna State, the Federal High Court sitting in Kaduna State has reserved judgment in the suit filed by the immediate past governor of the state, Nasir El-Rufai, seeking the nullification of the report of the ad hoc committee on the state House of Assembly, which indicted him and his administration in an alleged 423 billion naira fraud. At the court sitting, counsels to the respondents adopted their respective processes and prayed the court dismiss the suit. Trust TV's Bella Musa has more.
Counsel to the Kaduna State House of Assembly, Femi Falanasan, argued that the court lacks jurisdiction to adjudicate on the fundamental right case filed by El-Rufai or dismiss the report of the Assembly based on its constitutional mandate.
A fact-finding, mission to confirm the claim of the applicant, that's the former governor, Nasir El-Rufai, that this was what I'm leaving behind. This is the amount of external debt. This is the amount of domestic debt. So all the House of Assembly did was to summon the relevant commissioners to confirm the figures that the former governor had given. And that if he wanted to appear, what the law is saying, he should have sent a memo. But as far as the law is concerned, it was a fact-finding panel. It's not a court or tribunal. So nobody can go to court on the basis of the finding of a fact-finding panel and say, no, it's not about shaving a man's head. We have not got to that stage. It is when a petition is now sent to the anti-graft agencies, they would then summon him. This is the allegation against you. But as far as the law is concerned, we haven't got to that stage yet.
On his part, the Kaduna State Commissioner of Justice, Sule Shaibu-San, who is also a respondent in the suit filed by his preliminary and substantive objections, and asked the court to dismiss the case on the premise that the court lacks jurisdiction to adjudicate on the matter. He also asked the court to dismiss the suit for lack of cause of action against the Attorney General and for being speculative.
And the only thing I need to state here quite clearly is that the claim before the court is that one that has to do with setting aside, declaring as unconstitutional report of an ad hoc committee, and we have made it abundantly clear before the court that nobody can approach this court in the guise of the enforcement of his fundamental rights, that an ad hoc committee did not invite you. The law does not recognize that. We have given that before, we have submitted before the court.
Both respondents further argued that the applicant did not bring the report of the Kaduna State House of Assembly before the court, which they sought the court to declare as unconstitutional, null and void. They therefore pray the court to dismiss the suit in its entirety for lacking in merit. Counsel to Nasir El-Rufai Abdul Hakim Mustafa's son was not present in the court. The presiding judge, Justice Ridwan Aikawa, after listening to the lawyers in the suit, said a date for judgment will be communicated to the parties involved. Bella Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Still on litigation matters, the Court of Appeal Abuja has dismissed the appeal brought before it by the All Progressives Congress, the APC, and its governorship candidate, Timipre Silva, challenging the judgment of the Bayelsa State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal. The tribunal had in its judgment delivered May 17th of 2024 in Abuja upheld the election and the return of Doye Diri and his deputy Lawrence Eru Jakpo as lawfully elected governor and deputy. Justice James Abundaga, who read the lead judgment of the Court of Appeal, affirmed the declaration of Diri and the People's Democratic Party (PDP) as the joint winners of the November 11, 2023 poll. He awarded a cost of 500,000 naira to be paid by APC and Silva to the respondents in the appeal. The appellate court held that the appellants did not produce credible evidence that the election took place in 184 polling units in Nembe, Ogbia, and Southern Ijo. The court also held that going by the evidence and exhibits tendered that the election was not conducted in the disputed areas by Independent National Electoral Commission, the INEC, the issue to vote collation could not have risen. Metal and iron recycling is witnessing a surge as multinational companies are opening up recycling plants to process the tons of metal scraps that are being churned out by scavengers. As demands for aluminium, iron, and metal heightens at the global market, recycling business is booming in Nigeria, with many making a fortune from the metal scrap businesses. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail visited a recycling plant in Abuja and now reports.
The global demands for aluminium, iron, steel and copper is pushing many into scavenging and recycling as a means to maintain the supply chain. Recycled metals are now a major source of raw materials for steel mills companies and producers of metallic products. In addition to preserving the environment, these scavengers make fortunes in the metal recycling industry. 40-year-old Mamalu Bichi, who has been in the business for more than 2 decades, transacts within and outside the shores of Nigeria. I am a supplier. I used to buy scrap metals from here and transport them to Katsina. From there, people from Maradi, Niger Republic, buy and transport them to their country. They make wheelbarrows and other things from the metals. Local manufacturers in Nigeria depend on recycling plants like this one to source metals and aluminium to remain in business, as importation of these materials will hike cost of production. The scrap metals are used for different purposes. They are being transported to companies where they are being melted and processed into other products like bars and panels used in welding and other constructions. Aluminium materials are recycled into aluminium zinc for roofing houses, while others use it to create cooking pots, among others.
The global recycling industry is worth over $250 billion. But local recycling agents in Nigeria are worried that lack of capital is limiting their capabilities to benefit more from the industry. Specifically, they require melting and processing machines to transform copper, aluminium, and metals into a brand new product, such as bars used as building materials in construction industry.
When the scrap metals were taken to Lagos, they ended up being exported to other countries, where they will be recycled into another product that will be imported back to Nigeria. But this is what we Nigerians should be doing ourselves. With the right machinery, those machines can help boost our job. We can melt and recycle the metals into new products, which people can buy here. However, most of the recycling plants supply the metals to foreigners for export to other countries, while little is processed in Nigeria. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Residents of Abuja walled communities have decried the lack of basic amenities in the areas. Speaking with Trust TV's Noel Sampson, who visited the communities, some of the residents said a lack of access to potable water, health centers, and access roads, among others, have made life difficult for them. The report.
During the tenure of former FCT Minister Bala Mohammed, settlements along the airport road were fenced to promote aesthetics. However, years down the line, some of these communities are now being threatened by developers who claim to have rights to build on the lands. A visit to Poe community, one of the walled settlements along the airport road in the Federal Capital Territory, revealed that developers have recently been laying claim to some parts of the community or the grounds that they have been allocated to them. This has, however, not gone down well with Dagachi, of Puwe community, Tanko Bahago, who speaks on some of the challenges the community is facing.
And light, sometimes we should do the light. The transformer, we need more transformer. The problem is that sometimes people brought allocation papers, they say they are from government, they allocate the land to them, this and that. So we are the indigent of this place. We don't have any other place to go. My appeal is that they should come and integrate the village and let the people that brought the letter of allocation, they should locate the land to them and another place.
Challenges of several persons coming to claim, allocations in some of our houses. Even I can see, even today, some persons came and they took me somewhere. I discover there are houses, more than 30 houses, and he claimed it's his plot of land. In fact, the entire PUA community is upon people's allocation.
Residents of the community, numbering over 5,000, have access to only one health center. There's also a clear lack of other basic facilities that are needed for daily survival.
We have a number of challenges in this community, ranging from the bad road, like while you were coming in, I'm sure you could see the bad condition of our road. Our health center, we have a primary health center which comprises of just about 2 or 3 rooms, and with this kind of community that will have more than 10,000, 20,000 persons, you can imagine. And so we need upgrading and improvement of our health center. If possible, provide us with the necessary amenities or materials in the clinic so that some persons can be attended to, most especially when we have issues of labor at night.
With encroachment from estate developers, as well as the daily fear of demolition from the FCDA, life here is one that is not guaranteed, as they live just one day at a time. No, Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up, House of Representatives slashes members' salaries by 50%. This and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is News Hour on Trust TV. Here's a recap of our top stories. Robotic government and labor union agreed on 70,000 naira minimum wage for Nigerian workers. And the federal government sets 18 as minimum age for tertiary admissions. JAMB announces 140 cut-off mark. Moving on to more stories, the members of the House of Representatives have unanimously agreed to reduce their salaries by 50% in response to the widespread economic hardship in the country. The decision was made during Thursday's plenary session following the adoption of a motion sponsored by Ibrahim Isiaka from Ogun State. To report.
The motion appealed for peaceful protest and engagement with the government to address the issues. Deputy Speaker Ben Carlo, who proposed the amendment, suggested a 6-month salary reduction as part of efforts to help the federal government address the prevailing hardship in the country.
Your crying is right. Your complaint of hardship is right. But is the solution found in carrying placard and lining the streets? Is the solution found in copying a country lesser than us?
Mr. Speaker, the House is further aware that the challenges we face as a nation is not so unique to Nigeria. There are issues that countries across the globe grapple with on a daily basis.
There is no any meaningful achievement in any world without peaceful coexistence. And Mr. Speaker, we know that the hunger is so very much that we just have to do something about it.
You can't destroy Nigeria. We must all come together to build a more formidable Nigeria and to ask the government of the day to look into issues that have been driving so many agitations in this country.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, and the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun have denied allegations that the military and police provide security for illegal mining sites and miners. They stated this at a hearing by the House of Representatives Committee on Mineral Resources, chaired by Representative Jonathan Gaza. The CDS, who was represented by the Director of Operations Defense Headquarters, Air Vice Marshal Nnemeka Ilu, and IGP represented by Assistant Inspector General of Police AIG Ademola Hamzat, both stated that they only provide protection for legitimate miners who operate in conflict-affected areas upon request from the Ministry of Mines. They emphasized that they do not support illegal mining activities and are willing to collaborate with relevant agencies to stop it.
So if the Ministry of Mines requests us, because of the nature of the environment, because of the conflict, we do sometimes give protection to those people licensed by government to carry out mining activities from the Ministry of Mines.
The police is supposed to give general service to the people. So if the people who actually give this, which is coordinated by the Inspector General of Police himself, are convinced that you are supposed to be given a guard, 1 or 2, for personal protection, they grant.
The committee chairman, Jonathan Gaza, assured that efforts are being made to address the issue.
At such a time in our nation where indeed we need hope because of the grueling economic conditions we're facing right now. So such interventions actually sell hope and reinforce the hope.
The House of Representatives says it will investigate alleged attempts by international oil companies IOCs to sabotage the operations of Dangote Refinery. The probe was prompted by the motion of urgent importance raised by Minority Leader Kingsley Chinda, who expressed concerns about potential manipulation of local crude prices, preventing Dangote Refinery from purchasing locally and impacting the cost of refined products. The lawmakers will also investigate the exact percentage of federal government shares in Dangote Refinery, as there are discrepancies in the reported figures.
The House is worried that unless urgent steps are taken by the federal government, as well as investigate these matters and call on the IOCs to order, Dangote Refinery and its operation will be prematurely pushed or forced out of business, and this will not be good for us as a people.
The House therefore urged the Ministry of Petroleum Resources to intervene and ensure the success of the refinery.
The Senate during plenary on Thursday is demanding stricter sanctions for violation of construction and building codes in the country in a bid to contain the growing cases of collapsed buildings. The resolution was reached as senators debated a matter of urgent public importance on the collapsed Saint Academy in Jos Plateau State. Sagar Ibrahim has the details.
Senator Dicket Plank, who moved the motion, recalled how the sad incident altered the lives of many parents, families, and the government of the state. Other lawmakers who contributed to the motion suggested drastic actions to check the rising cases of building collapses.
Senate notes with utmost sadness that it was a depressing sightseeing as healthy and agile children who left home to write their examinations in the said school were unfortunately returned to their parents as dead bodies. Senate notes further that this ugly incident of building collapse had been a recurrent decimal in Nigeria as a result of poor workmanship.
The architects that supervise the construction of that building, the building engineers that supervise building should be brought to book. Probably this is the only way we can stop this from happening. What we can do as a national parliament that regulate the various institutions is to see what we can do to tinker with the law such that if you design a building and you are obliged to supervise the construction, should the building collapse within a certain number of years, you are liable not only to withdraw your license, you are liable to prosecution.
People who are employed to render these services, both in the approving authorities and in the construction and the supervision, they have abandoned their duties. And when people are killed, nobody is shown to have been humiliated or punished for professional negligence.
In his remarks, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, condoled with those affected. In addition to observing a 1-minute silence in honor of the deceased, the lawmakers called on the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to intervene by sending relief items to the affected families.
So I want us to condole with all Nigerians, sympathize with the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and all Nigerians over the tragic incidents in Jos, not limited to Plateau State alone, but to the whole nation, and pray that God will accept the souls of these children and then condole the families. And at the same time, we must also, as the Senate, take measures to ensure that we enforce these resolutions to avoid further loss of lives through building collapse in Nigeria.
The Senate further urged the Plateau State government to conduct a full investigation and bring to book all those found culpable. Meanwhile, the Senate has commenced moves to amend the Constitution to allow for the establishment of a local government independent electoral commission, which passed first reading during Thursday's plenary. The bill, sponsored by Senator representing Niger East Sani Musa, seeks to establish an independent body to conduct elections at the local government level.
Fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Musa Mohammed Sani on the Local Government Independent Electoral Commission Establishment Bill 2024, SB 531.
National Local Government Independent Electoral Commission Establishment Bill 2024, SB 531, first reading taken.
Recall that the Supreme Court on July 11 delivered a landmark judgment barring state governors from withholding local government funds. Sagir Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Abuja.
On security matters, the Borno State Police Command says it will deploy additional operatives around the Maiduguri metropolis and environs ahead of the planned protests across the country. The police also said it arrested 12 suspects for theft, criminal intimidation, vandalization, drugs hawking, as well as culpable homicide, among others. The Borno State Police Public Relations Officer, Nahum Kenneth Dasso, who disclosed this, said one suspect is Kwayar Kusar local government killed his 90-year-old grandfather using a hoe, while one Lydia Aji also killed her husband during a misunderstanding in their home in Chibok community.
Public safety and security, and further warns criminals to desist from their nefarious acts or face the wrath of the law. Members of the public are therefore advised to exercise vigilance and promptly report any suspicious activities within their domain to the nearest police station.
The Delta State Police Command says it has rescued 25 victims of human trafficking in the Ugeli area of the state. The command spokesperson, SP Bright Edafe, who stated this on Thursday in Asaba, said the command trailed one Chinyere who specializes in trafficking women from the east and bringing them to Ugeli, Delta State for prostitution. According to Edafe, the suspect lures them by telling them that they are coming to Delta State to work as a sales girls in a restaurant. One of the victims, who revealed the illegal activities of the said suspect, stated further that the suspect deceived her parents into following her to Delta State from Abia State to be a sales girl in a bar for a salary of 30,000 naira monthly. However, he said that the victim and two other young girls followed the suspect to a town, later understood to be Ugeli, but on getting to their final destination, they saw other naked teenagers before they were informed that it was prostitution they were brought for. Edafe said a combined team of surveillance stormed the hotel, Big Daffy Hotel, by Ugeli, Patani Road, and arrested one Chioma Edafe, 36, who runs the hotel, and 35 others, among whom 23 are all teenagers. He said a serious manhunt for the main suspect, Chinyere, was ongoing. According to health experts, the common diseases that affect almost every family and home are malaria and typhoid parasites. In the past, there have been consistent awareness creation and sensitization on how this could be controlled, but cases have soared, especially in the raining season in Benue State. Jimmy Adsande reports.
Most residents said they fall victim to either typhoid or malaria or both consistently. They explain the precaution they are taking to prevent the diseases.
Measures I take in preventing malaria and typhoid is one, I do sleep in the mosquito nets, and even my children, I ensure that they sleep in the mosquito nets, and I don't expose them to the mosquitoes. I ensure that as soon as it is night time, they are indoor and as well under nets.
I don't like anything that makes me having a little bite from mosquitoes. I usually fall ill. So I make sure I use my nets. I also use mosquito repellent. Because when I was in school, I read mostly at night. So it made me get used to using mosquito repellent. I don't use much of the fleet because most times it gives me nasal congestion. So I don't like using fleet. But I use my net and I use repellent. And those are the two basic things I use to prevent myself from attracting any malaria fever.
Health experts say the residents can control cases of typhoid and malaria diseases by observing certain healthy habits.
Virus that is caused by the ingestion of contaminated food or water. Now, this is how typhoid comes about. You see, we have lack of proper drainage and lack of good latrines, toilets, and source of good water. We have, well, to a great extent, you go to our immediate community, you see people going on well water, and even some of the companies we buy the water producing factories we buy that are around us, they normally don't prepare the water very well before selling it for us to ingest. So as a matter of fact, when these viruses are being ingested, it's now become harmful to the body system.
Mosquito nets have been distributed continually to homes to reduce cases of mosquito bites by the government and non-governmental organizations, though the same is not the case for food and water consumption, in which case typhoid is easily contacted. Jimmy Azande, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
Governor Umar Namadi of Jigawa State has officially launched a significant tree planting campaign aimed at combating climate change and desertification. The exercise, which targets the desert-prone Andaza community of Kiawa local government area, is part of a broader effort to build environmental resilience and protect the natural ecosystem and biodiversity. The report.
Governor Namadi at the flag-off exercise emphasized the critical importance of addressing the adverse effects of climate change, which include flash flooding, desertification, soil erosion, and irregular rainfall patterns. These challenges pose significant threats to the survival of biodiversity, including human life. The current campaign is the first under Governor Namadi's administration and introduces a novel approach by partnering with environmentally focused organizations to ensure its success. The effort includes the distribution of 5.5 million tree seedlings across the state, with 5,000 seedlings already planted in the Andaza community alone. The seedlings include various economic trees such as mango, cashew, orange, and guava, which not only contribute to environmental protection but also generate income for local communities.
As part of our effort to safeguard the environment, we have in the last 1 year constructed 20 kilometers of drainages and reclaimed over 72 kilometers of eroded areas in several affected villages and towns across the 27 local government areas of Jigawa State. Most of these have been completed and a few are nearing completion. In areas of flood mitigation, we have desilted over 72 kilometers along Hadeja River Canal from Gagia in Guri local government area to Achakal in Yobe State. This is in addition to the construction of embankment of about 300 kilometers along the same canal. One of the commitments I made to the people of Jigawa State during my inauguration as governor of Jigawa State was to reinvigorate and expand ongoing programs, including the production of 2.5 million trees seedling annually for distribution to the citizens, public sensitization of trees planting, deforestation, and the general environmental protection.
This initiative is part of a continued effort in Jigawa State where millions of tree seedlings are planted annually. Although survival rates have historically been low, the administration's new strategy aims to improve these outcomes and secure a sustainable future for the next generation.
Stakeholders in Nigeria's economic landscape have called on the federal government to suggest that to reduce resilience or reliance on imported goods and focus more on locally made products while supporting the local manufacturing sector. This, according to them, will prevent the naira from further weakening in the forex market. The report.
According to economists, one of the causes of the crisis in the Nigerian economy is the excessive focus on foreign currencies rather than the local one for several economic decisions. As part of efforts to address these, experts are suggesting that there is a need to limit the inflow of dollars and conduct more transactions in our own currency.
For us to see how we can increase our exports, non-oil exports, and how we can also ensure that our oil production also increases. Of course, I'm aware that the government has been doing a lot, particularly around insecurity in the Niger Delta, trying to curb this oil theft, vandalization, and all of that. The armed forces have been doing a great deal, but regrettably, we are not exactly where we should be. So we need to see a redoubling of that effort, possibly a review of strategy, to ensure that we deal with the problem of insecurity in the oil producing area.
Nigerians on the streets of Lagos are also emphasizing the need for the country to find ways of minimizing dollar spending and prioritize the use of the naira.
We are not producing anything. We even import toothpicks. It's as bad as that. Until we go back to production, there's nothing that will happen against the dollar. The dollar is strong because they are producing, but we are not producing. There's no magic in it.
Let's patronize our homemade products. Let's pay less attention to imported goods because this is killing our homemade production. This is killing our economy. Let us patronize our local production. For instance, those shoes that are made in Aba, let's patronize them. Let's encourage them. With this, they will, grow.
When we are not producing, we have no alternative than to buy what is available that comes from outside the country. So we must encourage production within the nation. And if we have a problem where farmers cannot go to farm and the electricity is failing, artisans cannot work. And so we are lacking in production. It's no question of buying in dollar or buying in naira. If we have the items here locally, people want to patronize locally manufactured.
Muda further stated that there is a need for ease in buying foreign exchange, particularly in terms of simplifying the documentation process.
Another way out is to ensure that the regulatory agencies and the security agencies also reduces the activities of these black market operators. Because within our law, it's something that is illegal, and we should not continue to condone illegality. Anybody that wants to operate in that market, wants to buy and sell foreign exchange, should be properly registered as a bureau de change. That is what I think is most ideal, and that is what is appropriate.
Stakeholders say since Nigerians are more of consumers rather than producers, to see the naira appreciate, Nigerians must learn to value and prioritize locally made goods.
The Central Bank of Nigeria on Thursday sold dollars to eligible bureau de change operators at the rate of 1,450 naira per dollar. The acting director, Trade and Exchange Department at the CBN, A.A. Mahdi, disclosed this in a statement on Thursday. This comes days after the Apex Bank sold $123 million to authorized dealers. The Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria claimed that they were excluded in that tranche of forex sales. The president of the APCON, Aminu Gwadabe, in a new interview, said only banks got the forex intervention. In the latest move, the CBN said it has approved the sales of FX to eligible Bureau de Change to meet the demand for invisible transactions. The sum of $20,000 is to be sold to each BDC at the rate of 1,450 naira per dollar, representing the lower band of the trading rate at NAFEM in the previous trading day. It warned the BDCs to sell the eligible end users at a margin not more than 1.5% above the purchase rate from CBN. Now let's join Yusuf Akogu for Business News Update.
Welcome to Business News. I am Yusuf Akogu. Insurance companies have recorded a total asset growth of 36.9% year-on-year to 3.3 trillion naira in Q1 2024 from 2.4 trillion naira in the corresponding period of 2023. This is despite the harsh economic business environment in the economy. The National Insurance Commission (NICOM) disclosed this on Wednesday in its first quarter report of the insurance sector. According to the report, total assets of non-life business stood at 1.9 trillion naira, while total assets of life business stood at 1.4 trillion naira. NICOM said the insurance industry sustained positive performance and market deepening capacity, indicating its ability to adapt and grow despite prevailing macroeconomic challenges. The management of Dangote Industry Limited have commended the Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission for its various interventions in the oil company's crude supply requests from international oil companies and for publishing the domestic crude supply obligation guidelines to ensure transparency in the oil industry. Vice President Oil and Gas Dangote Industry Limited, DVG Edwin, said if the domestic crude supply obligation guidelines are diligently implemented, it will deal directly with the companies producing the crude oil in Nigeria, as stipulated by the PIA. Edwin insisted that IOCs operating in Nigeria have consistently frustrated the company's request for locally produced crude as feedstock for its refining process. He highlighted that when cargoes are offered to the oil company by the trading arms, it is sometimes at $2 to $4 per barrel premium above the official price set by NUPRC. NGS returns to positive territory on Thursday as investors renewed interest in equities. Let's see how it went down today. Leading the gainers today is UCAP. UCAP gained 9.92% to close at 39 naira and 90 kobo per share. Of course, Wano PLC also there, 9.76% to close at 18 naira and 55 kobo per share there. Of course, AfriProd also up 9.55% to close at 9 naira and 75 kobo per share. Of course, this has pushed up the market up by 0.47%. Volume of trade there, 391.121 million shares, valued at 8.28 billion naira in a list of 8,968 did exchanges among investors there. The top trading equities there dominated by the banking sector there. JITCO leader table there, 39.747 million shares to trade there. Veritas Capital up there, 36.059 million shares. Of course, FCMB, 31.602 million volume of shares it traded this Thursday. Of course, some equities ended on the losing side of the market. Leading that table is Veritas Cap. They're down 10% to close at 1 naira and 8 kobo per share. Of course, Linkage Assurance down as well, 10% to close at 90 kobo per share. Of course, Vitafoam also down 9.67% to close at 19 naira and 15 kobo per share there. That's the highlight of stock trading as it went down this Thursday on the floor of NGS. Let's see the global stock market and exchange rate data for today. Oil price broadly steady on Thursday as investors took profit from earlier gains fueled by larger than expected declines in U.S. crude stocks. At the London market, Brent crude sells for $84 per barrel. For the oil basket, price steadies at $84 per barrel. And that's business. I am Yusuf Akogo.
Thank you, Yusuf, for the update. Now, from the international scene, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has been re-elected with 99.18% of the vote. The National Electoral Commission said on Thursday, extending his near-quarter-century stay in office. The two men standing against him, Frank Habineza from the Democratic Green Party and independent Felipe Mpayimana, both conceded defeat in Monday's election, which rights groups say was marred by a crackdown on journalists, the opposition, and the civil society groups. A government spokesperson repeatedly rejected such criticism during the election period. Oda Gasinzigwa, chairperson of the National Electoral Commission, told a news conference that voter turnout was 98.20% of the 9 million registered voters. Kagame, who got more than 93% of the vote in the last 3 elections, has won praise from Western and regional leaders for helping to end the 1994 genocide in Rwanda and rebuilding the country into an attractive destination for investment and aid. His reputation has been damaged, however, by accusations of abuses at home and supporting rebels in neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo, allegations he has denied repeatedly. The Electoral Commission barred 8 other candidates, including Kagame's most vocal critics, from running, citing a range of reasons, including missing and incomplete registration documents. And now let's join Emmanuel Fashemi for Sports News Update.
After 5 years of absence in the international stage, Nigeria's beach soccer team, Super Sand Eagles, will fly out of the shores of the country on Friday to Nouakchott for their 2024 Beach Soccer Africa Cup of Nations qualifying match against their Mauritania counterparts, bid for Saturday. The match is the first of a 2-legged tie, which will have Egyptian officials take charge of the game. Hani Farouk El Sayed El Raki will be referee 1, with Ahmed Mohamed El Wan Nofal, referee 2, and Ibrahim El Said Maghobi, referee 3. Khaled Mohamed El Elwa will serve as timekeeper, while Moroccan El Masuri Taha will be the commissioner. The NFF had appointed Ablahi Issa, a veteran goalkeeper, former assistant coach of the team, as the new head coach of the Super Sand Eagles, to be assisted by Christopher Kadri Basha Samaila as goalkeeper's trainer. Experienced players Victor Tale and Emeka Ogbonna are among the playing body, which also includes Arume Issa, Adams Taiwo, Emmanuel Wofera, Godwin Tale, Igan Osi Ekujimi, Chidozie Frank, and Hassan Abdullahi. The return leg is scheduled for Saturday, 27 July in Nigeria. Nigeria senior men's football team Super Eagles have further dropped 1 spot in the latest FIFA rankings released on Thursday. The 3-time African champions were in the top 20 of the world rankings after the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. However, poor performance in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers ensured that the team slipped drastically.
And with that, we wrap up News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news programs and documentaries. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thanks for watching and have a good night.